Have you ever finished a match in Battlefield and felt like your brain just ran a marathon? Not because you were physically tired, but because for the entire match your mind was totally locked in. You were scanning rooftops, listening for footsteps, watching the objective, and trying to figure out where the next shot was coming from. That's what makes Battlefield 6 so interesting to me. On the surface, it looks like another massive FPS with gunfire, explosions, vehicles, destruction, and players sprinting in every single direction. But underneath all of that chaos, something deeper is happening. Battlefield 6 is not only testing your aim, it's testing your awareness, your patience, your reaction time, your decision making, and your ability to stay calm when everything around you feels like it's falling apart. And that might be the real reason games like this pull us in so much. For those 20 or 30 minutes, your brain is completely present. You are not thinking about work, stress, your phone, or whatever else is going on in your life. You are focused on one thing: surviving the next few seconds and helping your team push forward. That level of focus is rare, and when a game creates it well, it becomes incredibly addictive. So, before we get into it, if you enjoy gaming videos that look beyond the surface, the psychology, the atmosphere, the nostalgia, and why certain games make us feel something, consider subscribing. That is the kind of content I'm trying to build here. Now, let's talk about what Battlefield 6 actually does to your brain. One of the biggest things Battlefield does so well is create what I would call controlled chaos. Real chaos is overwhelming. It's unpredictable, stressful, and something most of us would rather avoid. But controlled chaos is different. Controlled chaos is like a roller coaster. It is a tense movie scene. It is the final minute of a close match when everything is on the line. Battlefield gives you that feeling by throwing you into situations that feel dangerous but are still safe enough to enjoy. Your brain knows you're sitting in a chair, holding a controller, playing a game that you can turn off whenever you want, but emotionally, you still respond to what is happening on screen. When an explosion goes off beside you, when a building starts falling apart, when your teammate goes down right in front of you, or when gunfire starts coming from a direction you didn't expect, your brain reacts before you even have time to think about it. Your focus tightens, your heart rate might pick up, your hands move a little faster, and you start making decisions almost instantly. That is one of the hidden reasons FPS games are so engaging. They give your brain danger without actual danger. They create pressure without real world consequences. They let you experience intensity in a way that feels exciting instead of truly threatening. And Battlefield is especially good at this because it does not always make you feel like the hero of a match. A lot of shooters are built around making the player feel unstoppable, like the entire match revolves around them. Battlefield does something different. It makes you feel small inside of something that's massive. You are one soldier in the middle of a huge battle. There are tanks, helicopters, squads, snipers, medics, engineers, explosions, collapsing cover, and objectives constantly changing hands. The battle feels bigger than you, and that is exactly what makes your role feel important. Because when you survive a push, or you revive a teammate, capture an objective, or hold a position just long enough for your squad to move in, it feels like you contributed to something larger than yourself. That is part of the psychology that makes Battlefield memorable. The best moments often do not feel scripted, they feel like they happen naturally. Maybe you're sprinting across an open street and a tank shell destroys the wall beside you. Maybe you just dive behind cover with almost no health left. Maybe a teammate revives you at the last second and suddenly you are back in the fight. Or maybe your squad pushes through the smoke and captures the objective right before the enemy can take control. Those moments stay with you because they feel unpredictable, and unpredictability is one of the strongest ways to capture attention. When your brain does not know what is going to happen next, it stays alert. In Battlefield, even when things seem calm, you are never fully comfortable. Danger can come from above you, behind you, across the street, from a window, from a vehicle, or from a player you didn't even notice. So your brain starts scanning constantly. You're checking rooftops to think about. You're listening for movement. You glance at the minimap. You watch where your teammates are going. You read the flow of the match and try to predict where the enemy will be next. That is where Battlefield becomes more than just shooting. Of course, aim matters, reaction time matters, but in a game like Battlefield 6, awareness might matter even more. The best player is not always the one who has the fastest hands, y'all. Sometimes it is the person who knows when to push, when to wait, when to flank, when to revive, or when to fall back. That patience is critical. And I think that is a different kind of skill. It's not just mechanical, it is mental, it is psychological. The map becomes like a puzzle. And if you look at it from the objective point of view, whenever you're trying to actually spawn into Battlefield, you will know exactly what I'm talking about. The enemy team becomes the obstacle. Your squads become your support system. And every time you respawn, your brain gets another chance to solve the problem in a better way. And that puzzle, that problem, it's constantly changing in the entire match because things are shifting, objectives are changing. And another huge part of this game is the sound. Sound might be one of the most underrated reasons why Battlefield is so intense. People talk about the graphics and the weapons and the destruction and map design, and those things, of course, matter. But sound is what tells your nervous system how to feel, especially if you have incredible headphones on or an incredible headset. Distant gunfire makes the world feel alive. Footsteps nearby create tension. A sniper shot makes you instantly look for cover. An incoming vehicle changes the entire mood of a moment, and explosions make the environment feel unstable even when you're technically safe. So, the more layered the sound becomes, the more your brain starts building a mental map of danger. You may not consciously think through every sound you hear, but your brain is still interpreting it. It is constantly asking, where is the threat? How close is it? Do I need to move? Am I safe here? That is why Battlefield can feel mentally exhausting after a long match. You're not just reacting to what you see, you are reacting to what you hear, what you expect, what you remember from the last time you died, and what you think might happen next. And when a game feeds your brain that much information at once, immersion becomes almost automatic. But the biggest reason Battlefield feels different from a lot of shooters is teamwork. In Battlefield, being alone usually feels dangerous, unless you're a sniper, but even then you still need teammates to assist you. Even if you're a good player, being separated from your squad makes you feel exposed, but when teammates are around you, the entire emotional tone changes. You push differently when your squad is with you. You take risks you probably wouldn't take alone. You feel like the chaos is more manageable because you're not trying to survive it by yourself. I can speak for myself that when I'm playing with a friend of mine and we're in a squad together, I'm much more likely to run into the middle and heat of battle than I am if I'm alone. I'm because I know I have support behind me that could potentially assist me if I do go down. So even if nobody is talking, there is something powerful about moving with other players toward the same objective. A medic nearby makes you feel safer, just like I was talking about with my friend. An engineer dealing with a vehicle gives the team breathing room. A recon player spotting enemies from a distance changes how everything moves and everyone moves. And a support player holding pressure on an objective can shift the momentum of the fight. Battlefield taps into something very, very human here. It is it's fascinating to me. We are wired to feel stronger in groups. We are wired to look for safety, support, and shared direction. So when the game gives you a squad and a clear objective, it creates a sense of purpose that goes beyond simply getting kills. That is why capturing an objective can feel more satisfying than having a good kill count. It gives your actions meaning inside the larger battle, and you can feel when that meaning clicks into place. You can feel when your team starts building momentum and when your push is working, when the enemy team is starting to break. And those moments are so satisfying because they feel shared. It's not just, I got a kill. It is, we took the objective, we held the line, or we turned the match around. That shared victory is a major part of Battlefield's emotional loop. You spawn in, assess the chaos, make a decision, move with purpose, survive as long as you can, help the team in some way, and then you try again. Sometimes you succeed, sometimes you get destroyed immediately, but every life feels like another chance to create one of those unforgettable Battlefield moments. And that is why people keep coming back. It's not only about winning, it's about chasing the feeling of being completely locked in. It is about the impossible revive, the last second capture, the cinematic battlefield explosion we all know and love, the desperate escape, or the one moment where everything was falling apart literally and somehow your squad made it through. That is what Battlefield understands so well. The best moments in games are not always the cleanest or the most polished moments. Sometimes the best moments are the messiest. They're desperate, they're chaotic. They are the moments where you barely had a plan, barely had health, and you somehow survived anyway. Those are the moments that your brain remembers. And that is what Battlefield 6 does so well. It creates space where chaos, teamwork, fear, focus, and reward all collide at once. It makes you feel small inside something massive, but still important enough to change what happens next. And so that is why it feels intense. That is why it feels exhausting. It's doing something to your brain. And that is why, even after a frustrating match, so many of us still hit deploy one more time. So, if you enjoyed this deeper look at Battlefield 6, make sure to like the video and subscribe. I am going to keep exploring the psychology behind the games that we play, not just whether they are good or bad, but why they make us feel the way they do. Because sometimes the most interesting part of a game is not what happens on screen, it is what happens inside of us while we are playing. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I hope to see you on the next one.